Hi everyone, Sangeeta Joyce here. Today's topic for discussion is glycolysis. So we have already learned the chemistry of carbohydrate and in detail about the digestion and absorption of carbohydrate. So let's see what is glycolysis and what are the significance of glycolysis. In this topic we'll be learning these things. In addition to that, inhibitors, then energetics, regulation of glycolysis, then other minor pathways which are associated with the glycolysis. The definition of glycolysis is it is the oxidation of glucose into pyruvate, that is oxidation of glucose. Glucose is a 6 carbon molecule which will be oxidized into 2 3 carbon pyruvate molecules. Under aerobic conditions the product will be pyruvate. Under anaerobic condition the end product will be lactate along with the production of some quantities of energy. Glycolysis is also known as Embden-Meyerhof pathway. Glycolysis occurs in almost all the cells in human body and the subcellular site is cytoplasm where the glycolysis occurs. Let's see the significance of glycolytic pathway. So the ultimate aim of glycolysis is to get the energy. So the energy requirement of living cells usually met by the oxidation of all the nutrients such as glucose, that is the end product of carbohydrate digestion, then fatty acids and amino acid. Almost all the cells in the body can utilize glucose for generating metabolic energy. But certain cells, for example, neurons, erythrocyte, etc., they are solely dependent on glucose for their energy needs. So remember, it is the only pathway that is taking place in almost all the cells of the body, and it is the only source of energy for erythrocytes specifically and also neuron cells. And in severe exercises, when our muscle lacks energy or muscle lacks the oxygen, anaerobic glycolysis occurs, and that is a major source of energy during strenuous exercise. Then glycolytic pathway may be considered as a preliminary step before the complete oxidation. We know the end product of glycolysis is pyruvate, but there it does not stop. The pyruvate will goes to mitochondria and the complete oxidation occurs. It enters to the TCA cycle and the complete oxidation occurs. So it considered as the preliminary step before the complete oxidation of the biomolecules. Then glycolytic pathway provides carbon skeletons for the synthesis of non-essential amino acid and also for the synthesis of glycerol part of fat. So what is the meaning of non-essential amino acid? The amino acid which can synthesize by human body, which should not be supplied through the diet. Our body can synthesize these amino acid. That is the meaning of non-essential amino acid. So the synthesis of this amino acid occurs by getting the carbon skeleton by the oxidation or metabolism of glycolysis and other metabolic pathways. Next, most of the reactions of the glycolytic pathways are reversible and can be utilized for the synthesis of glucose through gluconeogenesis, but not completely reversible, but majority of the steps of glycolysis are reversible. The clinical importance of glucose, we know we should maintain a normal blood glucose level. What is a normal fasting blood sugar level? It is 70 to 110 milligram per deciliter. That narrow range should be maintained in human body because without that our most of the human cells cannot work below the level of this blood glucose. When the blood glucose goes below 70, that condition is known as hypoglycemia. Specifically, when the blood glucose level goes below 50 milligram per deciliter, there will be severe hypoglycemia. Our neuron cells won't work properly and we feel all those hypoglycemic symptoms like giddiness, shivering, etc. After a heavy carbohydrate meal, the blood glucose level increases, but in a normal person, this level will be below 150 or 140 milligram per deciliter, that is known as postprandial blood glucose level. So keep it in mind that the blood glucose level should be maintained between 70 to 110 milligram per deciliter. Let's go through the steps of glycolysis in detail. The first step is, before that, once again the definition, it is oxidation of a 6 carbon glucose into 2,3 carbon pyruvate molecule. So how does these steps occurs? Let us see. Actually, the glycolysis is divided into two stages. The stage one, which is termed the investment stage. Here actually we are depositing the ATP. That is the meaning in short, where the glucose molecule is activated through the expenditure of ATP molecules. That is why the stage is known as investment stage. That is a stage 1. In stage 2, the energy is generated. That is why the remaining steps are known as payoff stage. So there are mainly divided into two steps, that is investment stage and payoff stage. So now let's see one by one the reactions are. There are overall 9 reactions in glycolysis. The step 1 is the simple activation of glucose by a phosphorylation reaction. Here the phosphate group is donated by ATP molecule. So ATP undergoing hydrolysis to ADP in presence of the enzyme hexokinase. So we know the kinase reactions always which involves in phosphorylation dephosphorylation reaction. So the hexokinase which catalyzes the phosphorylation of glucose molecule at the 6th carbon atom of glucose molecule. So the phosphate group is attached to the 6th carbon atom and your product will be glucose 6-phosphate. That is the first reaction. Remember, this step is irreversible. This step cannot be converted back. That means so glucose 6-phosphate cannot be converted back to glucose because hexokinase reaction is an irreversible reaction. So here one ATP molecule is utilized. Now, this glucose 6-phosphate has multiple fates in human body. The first fate is that which can continue with the glycolysis to for the formation of the pyruvate, or else the glucose 6-phosphate during fasting condition can be converted into glucose by glucose 6-phosphatase enzyme. Then glucose 6-phosphate is the intermediate even for the synthesis of the glycogen, and glucose 6-phosphate is even utilized for the shunt pathway, that is HMB shunt. Now, there are two enzymes which catalyzes the same reaction, that is the conversion of glucose to glucose 6-phosphate, that is done by two enzymes, that is hexokinase and glucokinase. There is only a minor difference between these two. Hexokinase is present in almost all the tissues, whereas glucokinase is present only in liver. The Km value is 10 raised to minus 2 millimole per liter for hexokinase, whereas 20 millimole per liter for glucokinase. So when the Km value low means the affinity of the substrate will be very much high. That is why affinity of the towards the substrate will be high for hexokinase and low for glucokinase. And specificity, hexokinase acts mainly on glucose, fructose and mannose. That means any 6 carbon molecule will be acted upon by hexokinase, whereas glucokinase only act on the glucose molecule. There is no induction by any specific substrate for the induction of hexokinase, whereas glucokinase is induced by insulin and glucose. The function of hexokinase, even when the blood glucose level is too low, glucose is utilized by the body cells. Whereas glucokinase acts only when the blood glucose level is more than 100 mg per deciliter. That means the postprandial state usually. Then glucose is taken up by liver cells for the glycogen synthesis. So this is the difference between hexokinase and glucokinase. Now the second reaction is that there is a simple isomerization reaction done with phosphohexose isomerase reaction where glucose 6-phosphate will be converted into fructose 6-phosphate. Only a structural rearrangement occurs here. You can differentiate the structure between glucose 6-phosphate and fructose 6-phosphate. One is in furanose structure form, another one is in pyranose structure form. And the step third, here the fructose 6-phosphate once again undergoing a phosphorylation with the hydrolysis of ATP to ADP, and this phosphate group will be added to the first carbon atom of the fructose molecule, and the product will be fructose 1,6-bisphosphate, and the enzyme which catalyzes this reaction is phosphofructokinase. Remember, step 3 also again an irreversible step. So first one was hexokinase and the third reaction is phosphofructokinase. These two steps are irreversible in glycolysis. So in between step, that is an isomerization reaction, that was a reversible reaction. Now, importance of step 3 of glycolysis. The fructose 6-phosphate is further phosphorylated to fructose 1,6-phosphate. Enzyme already discussed, that is phosphofructokinase. This PFK is an allosteric inducible regulatory enzyme and it mainly regulates the glycolysis. It is a key enzyme of this pathway. And this is an activation process, the energy being derived by the hydrolysis of ATP, and remember it is an irreversible step. So step 1, 2, 3 together, these three steps together is known as preparatory phase or investment stage, where energy is utilized for the activation of glucose to fructose 1,6-bisphosphate. Now the step 4 is step 4 is a breaking step. Here aldolase enzyme which break down the 6-carbon fructose 1,6-phosphate into 2 3-carbon molecule, that is dihydroxyacetone phosphate and glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate, that is aldolase reaction. Now step 4a is that isomerization. That means these 3-carbon compounds, that is dihydroxyacetone phosphate and glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate, can be interconvertible. That is a reversible reaction. An enzyme triose phosphate isomerase will help for the reversal of either glyceraldehyde phosphate into dihydroxyacetone phosphate or dihydroxyacetone phosphate into glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate. So step 4 and 4a together known as the splitting phase. So the first phase is investment or preparatory phase and the step 4 alone is known as splitting phase. Now the step 5, that is NADH generating step. So here the glyceraldehyde, so remember in previous stage the dihydroxyacetone phosphate is converted into glyceraldehyde phosphate. So hereafter 2 molecule will be converted. So 2 molecule of glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate which undergoing oxidation. So oxidation here NAD will be converted into NADH. So hydrogen atom from the glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate will be donated to the NAD molecule and itself will be converted into NADH. And the enzyme which catalyzes this reaction is glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate dehydrogenase enzyme, and the product will be 1,3-bisphosphoglycerate. So it is a reversible step. NADH generating step and oxidative phosphorylation occurs. So remember, in addition to oxidation, here one phosphorylation also occurs in presence of inorganic phosphate. So NAD will be converted to NADH and this inorganic phosphate Pi will be added to the first carbon atom of the molecule. So the product will be 1,3-bisphosphoglycerate. So here you should remember one point, that diphosphate and bisphosphoglycerate are different. So when two phosphate groups are linked together and then attached to a parent compound, it is called diphosphate. For example, adenosine diphosphate. Whereas the phosphoric acid groups are present at two different sites of the compound, that is known as the bisphosphate. So here your product is fructose 1,6-bisphosphate, then glyceraldehyde phosphate, etc. So that is different than that of the diphosphate. Now next step is step 6, ATP generation. This is also a reversible step. Here remember this is a substrate level phosphorylation. So 1,3-bisphosphoglycerate will be converted into 3-phosphoglycerate. So in previous step, one phosphate group was added to the first carbon atom of the glyceraldehyde molecule. Here that phosphate group will be donated to ADP and ADP will be converted into ATP. So here the ATP is generated in this step from the substrate. That is why the reaction is known as substrate level phosphorylation. So in previous step NAD was converted into NADH. I forgot to tell you that this NADH may enter into ETC and one NADH can contributing for the 2.5 ATP. Through ETC, 2.5 ATP will be generated from the NADH molecule. So that is there, that is oxidative phosphorylation, and this is substrate level phosphorylation. So 1,3,4 in step 6, 1,3-bisphosphoglycerate will be converted into 3-phosphoglycerate, and the enzyme is bisphosphoglycerate kinase enzyme, and ADP will be converted into ATP because the phosphate group will be donated to ATP and the product is 3-phosphoglycerate. Then step 7 and 8. Step 7 and 8, here the 3-phosphoglycerate will be converted to 2-phosphoglycerate. Here again an isomerization reaction catalyzed by a mutase enzyme, phosphoglycerate mutase, which helps for the transfer of phosphate group from the third carbon atom to the second carbon atom. So it converted as 2-phosphoglycerate. And the next reaction is that, 8th step is that 2-phosphoglycerate undergoing a hydrolysis step, and here itself will be converted into phosphoenol pyruvate. So here magnesium ion which catalyzes enolase enzyme, and water molecule will be eliminated from the 2-phosphoglycerate and itself will be converted into a keto form of phosphoglycerate, that is known as phosphoenol pyruvate. So this enolase requires magnesium ion, and the importance of this step is that fluoride can inhibit this enolase enzyme by displacing magnesium ion. Without magnesium act as a cofactor here, the enolase enzyme cannot be working properly. So that what will happen? That enzyme activity does not occur properly. So this fluoride will be added to the blood before collecting blood for the blood sugar estimation. If it is not added, glucose will be metabolized by the live blood cells, so that the lower blood glucose values are obtained. So this point to be noted. So remember, fluoride is an inhibitor for the glycolysis. Then the last step of glycolysis is that, remember, this step is also an irreversible step. The phosphoenol pyruvate donates the phosphate group which present in the second carbon atom to the ADP molecule to form ATP, and the enzyme catalyzing this reaction is pyruvate kinase enzyme. Remember, pyruvate kinase also requires magnesium as a cofactor to enhance the reaction, and your product will be pyruvate. So after all, for the complete oxidation of glucose molecule, we will get 2 molecule of pyruvate. So remember, step 1, step 3 and step 9 is an irreversible step. These 3 steps cannot be converted back, and that is hexokinase, then enolase enzyme and pyruvate kinase enzyme, which requires magnesium as the cofactor. Then in anaerobic condition, during severe exercise or in absence of high altitude level and all, during absence of oxygen, this pyruvate again can be converted into lactate. So here a reduction of pyruvate occurs to lactate by the enzyme lactate dehydrogenase, where it requires NADH to NAD. So the NADH which is synthesized during the oxidative phosphorylation in the step 5 will be utilized during anaerobic glycolysis. So in that case, that 2 molecule 2 NADH into 2 into 2.5, that is 5 ATP, will not be generated during anaerobic glycolysis. And remember, the enzyme is lactate dehydrogenase enzyme. So end product of anaerobic glycolysis is lactate, end product of aerobic glycolysis is pyruvate. So LDH has this LDH, that is enzyme lactate dehydrogenase, has 4 subunits and 5 isoenzymes that we will be discussing in detail in isoenzyme chapter or clinical isoenzymology. So LDH is a cardiac isoenzyme which increases in myocardial infarction. So this is the overall pathway. You can see glyceraldehyde, the second stage completely given in this pathway, glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate into pyruvate or lactate, and during anaerobic glycolysis, pyruvate will not be converted to acetyl coenzyme A, and this step that will not be enter into TCA cycle. Step 5 and 10 are coupled. That is what I have discussed already, the significance of lactate production. So in actively contracting muscle, there is a comparative lack of oxygen. So in anaerobic glycolysis or anaerobiosis, the major pathway for the utilization of pyruvate is thereby blocked. So the lactate formation is necessary for the reconversion of NADH to NAD plus in anaerobic condition. The importance of this thing, that is the lactate production, is already explained in the Cori cycle in previous class. Once again will be discussed in tomorrow's class, next class. So this is the overall pathway. So this is all about glycolysis. Once again, let's have a revision on the glycolysis. First stage is that preparative stage of investment stage, where glucose will be converted into fructose 1,6-phosphate undergoing two phosphorylation reaction, one isomerization reaction. So glucose phosphorylated to glucose 6-phosphate by hexokinase, which requires magnesium, ATP cyclase to ADP. Then glucose 6-phosphate to fructose 6-phosphate as an isomerization reaction. One more phosphorylation by phosphofructokinase to fructose 1,6-phosphate. This step and this step, that is step 1 and 3, is an irreversible step. Remember, this is a preparative stage or investment phase. The second part, fructose 1,6-bisphosphate to glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate and dihydroxyacetone phosphate, is known as splitting phase, where a 6-carbon molecule will be break down into 2 molecule of glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate, 2 3-carbon molecule, that is glyceraldehyde and dihydroxyacetone phosphate, which is catalyzed by aldolase enzyme. This dihydroxyacetone phosphate can be converted back to glyceraldehyde by isomerase enzyme. Now the remaining step is known as, that is energy gaining steps. So energy gaining, that is glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate to pyruvate step. 2 molecule of glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate undergoing oxidative phosphorylation by glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate dehydrogenase by accepting hydrogen by NAD to NADH. These NADH will enters into ETC during aerobic glycolysis and produce 5 ATP. Then 1,3-bisphosphoglycerate, that product of oxidative phosphorylation, undergoing a substrate level phosphorylation by conversion of ADP to ATP by 1,3-bisphosphoglycerate kinase to form 3-phosphoglycerate. The phosphate from the first carbon atom will be taken up by ADP. Then 3-phosphoglycerate to 2-phosphoglycerate, and interchange of phosphate group from the third position to the second position of phosphoglycerate. Then this 2-phosphoglycerate undergoing enolase reaction, where the phosphate molecule will be eliminated and phosphoenol pyruvate. Then undergoing a final substrate level phosphorylation to form pyruvate, where again pyruvate kinase reaction catalyzes the conversion of ADP to ATP. And remember, the last step during anaerobic glycolysis, pyruvate will be converted into lactate by lactate dehydrogenase enzyme. And 3 inhibitors of glycolysis, fluoride, which we have already discussed, fluoride which inhibits enolase enzyme. Importance is that it is added in the blood sample collected for glucose estimation to prevent glycolysis. So during absence of sodium fluoride, glucose will be utilized by live blood cells and we will be giving false negative values. Then iodoacetate. Iodoacetate inhibits glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate dehydrogenase, and arsenite, which inhibits phosphoglycerate kinase. So this is all about glycolysis. We will be discussing the remaining portion in the coming class. Thank you.